After I rejected Ethan's flirtation, so we arranged to share a seat with him at the airport and a villa. He was jealous and quarreled because I danced with a handsome French man. We pulled and confronted each other. He angrily pulled me out. Our plan for the first afternoon was to take a comprehensive tour of the nearby vineyard, but first, we were going to have lunch at the restaurant. Mr. Morgan and I ended up staying in a second-floor room. He carried his belongings and followed closely behind me as we headed upstairs, and even offered to help me carry my things. But I told him he didn't need to put on such a gentlemanly act. The room's decor was quite simple. There was just a bed, a few old wooden pieces of furniture, a fireplace, and curtains hanging at the floor-to-ceiling windows. Nothing else much to speak of. Both of us set our suitcases down on the bed. He started rummaging through my luggage, which made me feel extremely uncomfortable. His gaze drifted toward me, and when I caught him staring at me, he suddenly locked eyes with me. "Is there something wrong?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. I shook my head. As soon as he noticed my hesitation, a smile spread across his face. "Is there something you're trying to hide?" Though I'm skeptical, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if your bag contained a 20-centimeter long pink vibrator, Brown. Or maybe I should be surprised, since you usually steer clear of risky toys. My eyes locked straight onto hers. I was pretty sure he'd be shocked to learn that I actually had a vibrator in my bag. I had to fight hard not to laugh. I fled into the bathroom, trying to shake off the awkwardness of our suddenly intimate moment. I needed a shower, and somehow I'd figure out what to wear afterward. A few minutes later, I heard him knocking on the bathroom door while I was still in the shower. "What do you want?" I asked, turning off the water. "It's my turn now. Get out before you drain the planet's water supply." "Idiot. I've only been in the shower for 5 minutes."
"You've got 1 minute, Miss Brown."
"What else am I supposed to do?" I challenged, feeling perfectly safe behind the closed door. What could he possibly do? He couldn't just yank me out of the bathroom like that. "If you don't come out now, you'll find out in 30 seconds. Ignoring him, I turned the water back on, and he was helpless. After all, the door was locked. Just as I heard the sound of the door opening, I spun around. Damn it, I'm sure I locked the door. He stepped inside, wearing nothing but a towel. Instinctively, I threw my arms up to cover my breasts. The bathroom's glass door was transparent, and though the steam from the hot water kept him from seeing me completely, he could still make out enough to know exactly what was going on. "Are you crazy?" I said, knowing full well what he was thinking. "Fine, then call everyone over. I'll let them know you've been wasting water." "You can't just barge in like this. You said we'd share the space anyway. Besides, I've seen it all already." "You jerk. Get out of here. You're the one who should be getting out. I'm not even finished talking yet." "I've already been talking for a minute," he said, stepping closer to the shower. "Stop right there." "What are you doing?" "Don't you dare." I tried to stop him, but it was no use. He pushed open the bathroom door. "Are you crazy?" I asked as he walked in. "Don't come any closer." My breathing grew heavy. "Get out of here," I screamed. There wasn't enough room in the bathroom for both of us to take a shower. We were standing far too close together. "You're the one who's got to leave," he said, licking his lips and biting his lower lip. "I'm not done talking yet. What do you want? Drag me out of here." I snapped through clenched teeth. "Don't you dare lay a finger on me." "All right, sir. I won't hurt you, unless you ask me to." "Then get out of my way." I roared. "Move," I growled. He stepped aside just enough to let me pass. I emerged from the bathroom and sat down on the bed. As I paused by the edge of the bed, my hands were trembling. How much longer could I hold back when every part of my body was screaming yes? This desire was driving me crazy. It was stronger than my reason, making me realize that I couldn't resist forever. Just for 1 week, Ellie. Be strong. After having lunch at the Vineyard restaurant, we set off on our tour guided by a local guide, joined by several other tourists. We walked through the vineyard, tasted grapes plucked straight from the vines, and learned about every step of the wine-making process. Now we're in the tasting room. Within 30 minutes, I could already say that I just sipped the best wine of my life. An hour later, I was feeling slightly tipsy. I couldn't help but notice that Ethan, dressed in yet another casual outfit, looked especially attractive. His gray shirt subtly showed off his massive biceps, tucked neatly into dark-colored trousers that accentuated his incredible backside and thighs. My goodness, I really need to cut back on the wine before he notices I've been staring at him the whole time. I also noticed that Mr. Morgan seemed completely relaxed, spending most of the tour chatting away with Neil. I figured they must be pretty close, especially considering Neil lives in London and Ethan had just returned from there. When my friends decided to head back to the Vineyard restaurant, where there was also a bar, I completely abandoned my plan to quit drinking. After savoring some delicious local dishes, we made our way to the bar, where a few tourists were dancing to traditional music. Philip, the most carefree of us all, came over to me, eager to drag me onto the dance floor. She had an outgoing personality and boundless energy. In the end, I gave in, figuring I could always blame it all on the alcohol later. As I danced with her, I let go of all my worries and simply enjoyed myself, the kind of joy I hadn't felt in ages. Just then, a soothing, romantic tune began to play, and I took the initiative to step aside, making room for Jason. As I watched intently, captivated by their tender embrace, a tall, blonde, handsome man walked over toward me. He had light-colored eyes and a sharply defined nose. "Excuse me, may I invite you to dance?" he asked with rich French charm, extending his hand toward me. I didn't understand a single word he said, only catching a few scattered words here and there. Still, I smiled and took his hand, guessing that he was asking me to dance. The music played slowly, and I had no idea how to move at all, so I just let this blonde man lead me. He placed both hands on my waist, and instinctively I put my hands on his shoulders. Together, we began to glide gently to the rhythm of the music. "Are you American?" he asked in English, his accent thickly French. My French skills barely stretched to 5 words, so hearing him speak English made me breathe a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness you speak my language." I laughed. I was starting to think we'd have to communicate using Google Translate. "That's right, I'm American." "What brings you all the way to France?" he asked with a smile, clearly genuinely curious. "I'm here on vacation with some friends. I just realized I don't even know your name yet." "Valentine. Nice to meet you, Miss Ellie." "It's a pleasure to meet you, Ellie." "Same here. Sorry if I stepped on your foot. Don't take it personally. I'm not much of a dancer, especially after drinking so much tonight. As long as I get to look at your face, I won't complain one bit, I promise," he said, making me laugh. After chatting for a few minutes, I realized that Valentine wasn't just charming, he was also incredibly gentlemanly. When the second song started, we continued dancing slowly together, and he even tried teaching me a few French words. Each word coming from his lips was utterly enchanting, leaving me completely captivated. "Your language is so beautiful," I said with a smile. "Not as beautiful as yours," he replied. "What do you mean by that?" "I'm saying French isn't as charming as you are." "Oh," my cheeks instantly flushed warm. "Thanks." The third piece of music began, its rhythm even more soothing than before. I noticed that Jason and Philip had already disappeared. I glanced at the spot where my friends had been sitting just moments ago, and it was empty too. Where on earth had they gone? Just as I was pondering this, Valentine slipped around behind me, his hands gently wrapping themselves around my waist, his chest pressing against my back. This is exactly how it's meant to be danced," he whispered softly into my ear. I was about to tell him I'd go find my friends when Ethan suddenly appeared right in front of us, freezing me in place. "Get away from her!" Ethan snapped, his gaze not falling on me at all but instead fixed coldly on Valentine. "Either I'm way too drunk or Mr. Morgan can speak French." "Who are you?" Valentine asked from behind me. "If you don't take your hands off her right this minute, I'll make sure you regret it," Ethan shot back, his voice laced with unmistakable fury. I was so shocked that I couldn't say a word. "Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Oh my God. What on earth is wrong with him?" I turned around to face Valentine. Sorry, my friend was just joking. I'm not joking, Ethan said behind me. Could you step away for a moment? We've got something to talk about, I pleaded. Valentine nodded and turned to leave. I spun around abruptly, coming face to face with Mr. Morgan. Have you completely lost it? We'd better get going. What? You're drunk, and it's way past midnight. I'm not drunk. Even if I were, it's none of your business. You're totally drunk. Otherwise that French jerk wouldn't have taken the opportunity to take advantage of you. Don't talk nonsense. We were just dancing. Don't be naive. He's deliberately clinging to you and making a move. So what if he is? It still has nothing to do with you. And let me tell you, I might even enjoy it. Get out of my way, I said through gritted teeth, trying to sidestep him, but he reached out and wrapped his arm around my waist, blocking my path. He pulled me back into his embrace, slowly backing us against the wall. His hands locked tightly around my waist, pressing my entire body against his. I could clearly feel his body reacting, and I gasped involuntarily at the intensity of it all. If you're looking for someone to hold you tight and keep you close, why don't you just come to me? He growled softly in my ear, his deep voice sending shivers down my spine. I wanted to scream at him, to make him let me go, but my body was trembling uncontrollably in his arms. Maybe the alcohol had numbed my reason, letting the fluttering sensation deep within me drown out my anger. I stopped struggling altogether, just wanting to feel his warmth enveloping me. I closed my eyes and sank into the searing heat radiating from his broad frame. Where has everyone gone? If they were here, you wouldn't dare be so brazen, would you? I took a deep breath, inhaling the intoxicating scent of him, asked, They left earlier. I'm supposed to take you home. We'd better get going. As he spoke, his warm breath brushed against the nape of my neck. They must have lost their minds, I said, leaning unconsciously closer to him. I could feel his body growing even more tense. His hand gripped my waist tightly, the pressure so intense it felt like it might sink into my flesh. What are you doing? He asked me, panting softly in my ear. The question I should be asking you is, what gives you the right to boss me around as if I were your property? You're the one who's deliberately trying to get my attention, flirting with everyone you meet, I shot back. Mr. Morgan was still that arrogant, overbearing jerk he'd always been. No one's forcing you to chase after me like a little lapdog, I teased deliberately, a sly smile curling at the corners of my lips. You're just drunk and delirious, Miss Brown. I couldn't see his face, but I knew he was smiling too, just like me. I hate you, likewise. But your body doesn't seem to feel the same way, I murmured, slowly rubbing against him until I'd completely lost all sense of reason. If I reached out and touched you right now, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't say no. You never say anything serious, Mr. Morgan. But you just love listening to it. That's right, I really do. I can't hold it in any longer. The emotions welling up inside me are about to drive me crazy, and I need him to calm this restlessness. Let's just put an end to this once and for all. What? I want you. I leaned heavily against him. You're drunk. Do you think I'd only want you when I'm drunk? I deliberately provoked him. I can't do this. You'll regret it tomorrow. Cut the crap, I said, clutching at the corner of his shirt and pulling him out of the restaurant. Once we were outside, I dragged him into a quiet corner of the building. Leaning my back against the stone wall, my fingers unconsciously tightened around the hem of his shirt, my inner urge almost bursting forth. No way, he said, pressing down on my hand with a firm tone. We can't do this. I squinted at him, my mind swirling with confusion. Was he actually rejecting me? That was absurd. Good heavens. You have no idea what you really want. I tried to pull away from him, but he held me firmly against the wall, refusing to let go. Let me go. He reached out and gently cupped my face, his eyes filled with a painful struggle. Ellie, you don't know how badly I want you. My desire for you is driving me crazy. His gaze locked onto mine, his voice restrained yet laced with intensity. But I can't take advantage of you when you're drunk. You'll regret it tomorrow. Thanks for your kindness, but I know exactly what I'm doing. Don't pretend like you haven't had a single drink. You look perfectly sober. Actually, that last part was a lie. I had no idea what I was doing, and I hadn't thought about what would happen afterward at all. Maybe it was the alcohol that emboldened me, letting go of all my reservations. All I knew was that right now, I just wanted to be closer to him. He stared at me silently, his eyes caught between desire and reason, a tug of war between passion and restraint. Perhaps he needed a little push. I tiptoed, grabbed hold of his collar, and took the initiative to kiss him. In an instant, he completely let down his guard. His hands wrapped around my waist, lifting me gently into his arms. Our bodies pressed tightly together, and I couldn't help but let out soft, delicate moans against his lips. That's exactly what I've been craving, this kind of closeness. I reached out to wrap my arms around his neck, eagerly drawing nearer, refusing to let go. He broke away from my lips, his breath coming in ragged gasps, his voice hoarse and raw. Ellie, 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 Ellie. Don't stop, I whispered softly, my heart racing so wildly that I could no longer contain it. I clung tightly to him, my cheek pressing against his burning warmth. He closed his eyes, gritting his teeth as he let out a muffled groan. His forehead rested lightly against mine, his breath hot enough to make my head spin. Please, right now, I whispered pleadingly. I longed for his closeness, such a powerful yearning that it made my heart ache. He let out a low growl and gently pulled me closer. The two of us drew even nearer, and that familiar thrill instantly spread through me. Oh my God! The familiar thrill mingled with a faint tingling sensation that swept over my entire body, and I couldn't help but softly moan. Damn it! His voice was unusually hoarse as he slowly tightened his grip around me, drawing me even closer. I couldn't suppress a sharp intake of breath.